Red letter day. It's pages. One, two, one, I didn't miss any repeats though. No. That could be an advertisement. You can play this alto or soprano. It doesn't matter. Yeah. No one knows. Yeah. If you're deaf, it doesn't matter.
As long as you don't frantically switch, nobody will know.
No. You just casually pick up the other one.
Just assume the first note was on alto.
Yeah. really small. What?
I had to interpret more space in the next one.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, this is time's up.
Time's up.
Yeah, I would just have pump. Does everybody have pump nearby? Pump and circumstance nearby.
Oh, sure.
It's about 10 minutes to 9. And I'm guessing Charlie could start any time.
morning, everyone. We are about to start the processional, so if I can ask everyone to please find their seats. We invite you all to be seated, and we're going to start the program in just about 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.
morning and welcome to the commencement exercises for the class of 2021. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing as the Cape Henry Collegiate Senior Vocal Trio, under the direction of Mr. Samuel Logan Jr., sings the Cape Henry Collegiate Alma Mater. The Senior Vocal Trio will sing the Alma Mater first. After the vocal trio performs, everyone is invited to join them in singing the refrain using the words printed in your program. A welcome address by Dr. Chris Guerin, head of school, will follow the Alma Mater.
A place where we can flourish, a place where we all grow, united as one community. Journeys to remember, adventures that we share, open doors to opportunity. Unveil our potential, knowledge to succeed. As scholars we hold to our creed, an awareness of who we want to be, trusting in our integrity. Now here's to you, Cape Henry. We lift our voices strong with words of adoration to last our whole lives long. Through years of changing faces, the spirit remains true. We love to sing your praises, Cape Henry. Here's to you.
Please be seated. Let's put our hands together one more time for Anna and Hannah and Peyton. So good morning. This is a celebration. Let's try that again. Good morning. And welcome to what I've been saying might just be the largest tent in Virginia Beach. As compared to our senior celebration the other night, this Sunday morning has provided us with some wonderful sunshine in order to celebrate, and also a little bit of heat and humidity, especially up under these lights. Get started this morning. Can I ask all of our families and assembled guests to please join me in putting our hands together for the class of 2021. Today, our graduates each wear a lei made of fresh red and white flowers. As many of you might know, the lei symbolizes the affection that one has for another, presented often at times of goodbye, celebration, and welcome. So this morning, as we say goodbye, and as we celebrate you, and as we prepare to welcome you back in the near future as alumni, the lei seems like the perfect symbol. Let me start right off by saying that I know it has been a difficult year. the experiences that you lost, or the experiences where you had to settle for something that just didn't seem quite right. Trust me, I have thought about it a lot. I've thought about you as the seniors more than anyone else. I hope that you know that we have tried to provide as much normalcy as possible, while also maintaining protocols and more bloody protocols. This pandemic has tested all of us, but I've always felt that when presented with difficult times, or even a global crisis, how people respond is what says a lot about them, about who they are, and about who they can be. And you, class of 2021, have responded well. You adapted, you learned to pivot, you let some things go, you made other things happen, even though they were much tougher, like playing an entire basketball season all the way to a state championship in a mask. You did not let it defeat you. Instead, as we would expect at Cape Henry, you adjusted, at times you compromised, you definitely modeled for younger students, and you led. And let's remember, while limited in numbers, the band still battled, the mock Supreme Court still argued, and the games in all 3 seasons were still played. You still laughed with your teachers, sometimes when you were supposed to, sometimes when you weren't. You still had good times with your friends. And I know some of you have actively reached out to broaden those friend groups in order to better create a class, the class of 2021. You deserve today, and so let's get on to it. Today we're going to hear from some of your peers, Kian, our Salutatorian, and Bryn, our Valedictorian. Also, your class has chosen Mr. Brian Facemeyer from our upper school history department as the faculty speaker, and Mr. Mason Beers as your student speaker. Once we have heard from them, in one of my final acts as your head of school, it'll be my job to ask Mr. Atherton, the chairman of the Board of Trustees, to award diplomas to you in recognition of your achievements and accomplishments. Today, we celebrate a commencement. It is the single most important rite of passage in the life of a school. It marks the end of one chapter and announces the beginning of the next. And as you consider your time at Cape Henry, whether a few years or 16 years, and then as you think about where you're headed next, for me, it's exciting to think about how young you are and to anticipate the many opportunities in front of you. You'll have so many choices to make as you pursue those opportunities around education, work, family, love, and life. I ask you to make those choices in a spirit of kindness, humility, and care for others. As we turn to you and to your generation, after seeing you in these halls and on these fields, this very field, I have great hope in the future. In college, in work, in life, in love, accept people on their own accomplishments and merits. Regardless also of college, career, and other life choices, living a moral and good life, committed to recognizing everyone's integrity, will make you a happier and a better human being. And so on to this graduation. Today, what I present to all of you, our families and assembled guests, is a class, a group of individuals who have come together as one and who have shared the same school community, the same school family, the same home. And as with any family, they've laughed, argued, fought, even cried. They've defended state championships. They've amazed us from the stage. They've led and challenged younger students to be better. They've earned cum laude and National Honor Society. They've journeyed across this country and around the world with Nexus. And now, they each have selected a college where they will continue to challenge themselves, academically, inside of the classroom, and also outside of the classroom, building new friendships that should last a lifetime. My hope is that all of you will embrace college and life, and that with you, you will carry the 4 core values that you see displayed on this stage: scholarship, opportunity, integrity, and community. And so, this class is ready to graduate, to transition into your new roles as alumni in this community, to go forward, to travel far, to return and to visit, to live well, and to do good. Families, thank you for trusting in Cape Henry Collegiate and allowing us to know your children and to know you. Thank you for making this place a part of your family's journey. And graduates, thank you for allowing us to work with you, to teach you, to coach you, to travel with you. Thank you, class of 2021, for everything that you have done to make Cape Henry a better place. As you have helped us, it is my hope that we have helped you. And now we prepare for these assembled seniors to commence tomorrow with the next leg of their journey. Thank you. And now, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce your salutatorian, Mr. Kian Moretz. I'm presenting Kian with the Salutatorian Medal. Kian will be attending Harvard next year. Welcome, Kian. It's heavy.
Thank you, Dr. Guerin. Good morning. The topic I wanted to discuss here is one that has been on my mind a lot recently, and one that holds a significance in all of our lives: time. There are no objective answers here, as each of us have our own interests and goals. Instead, I hope this gives each of us an opportunity to explore time and how it affects our lives. What you take away from this is up to you, but I hope you'll consider what matters to you personally. For me, that may be academics or the business pursuits I've surrounded myself by for the past 5 years. For you, it could be athletics or your family and friends, or just having fun and living the most enjoyable life you can. Your goals are your own, and are a part of what makes you uniquely you, a distinct individual that contributes something new to the world and to every community you inhabit, whether here at Cape Henry or at your college of choice next year. What should be relevant to each of us, however, is how to best go about achieving the goals we set for ourselves and living the life we truly wish to be living. Today marks a period of transition for the class of 2021. Each of us has spent years of our lives at Cape Henry, whether 4 or 14, and each of us is headed somewhere else next year. My first day here was August 28th, 2017, the first day of 9th grade. Between that date and May 21st of this year, our final day of high school, there were 1,363 days. Of course, not every one of those days was spent at school. Nevertheless, each one of those 1,363 days was a part of our time in high school, the phase of our lives that now comes to a close. That's 32,712 hours, 1,962,720 minutes, 117,763,200 seconds. It seems like a long time putting it in that context. And as it comes to a close, let's take the opportunity to look back on our last 100 million seconds of life. It's often difficult to gain a broader perspective on our lives as we're spending our time just trying to live them. Right now, though, take a breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. This is your time. These next few months are our time to move from our last 100 million seconds to our next. Take some of that time to look back on your life so far. Consider the decisions past you made. Which are you proud of? What have you found to matter to you? Whether it's our decisions about course selection here at Cape Henry, the opportunities we did or didn't take advantage of, or the challenges we overcame, each of these moments can help us to better understand ourselves and what it is we truly want. Time is one of the few resources that is essentially evenly distributed. While it may be oversimplifying to ignore general relativity, healthcare inequality, and other such factors, it's reasonably accurate to note that we all have 24 hours in a day. Time isn't an unlimited resource. There are only so many hours in a day, so many days in a year, and so many years in each of our lives. The average American has a lifespan of 79 years. If you're 18 today, that means you're just under a quarter of the way through your life. That time is inherently valuable. If you realize at some point in the next few years that what you're studying isn't what you want to spend the rest of your life doing, it's not too late to change. If you're spending most of your time on something you don't find valuable or meaningful, think about what you can do about it. You might even take the route of my dad, spend 5.5 years in college, changing your major, work dozens of different jobs, and then 20 years from now decide you want to be a doctor. That's okay. Don't make compromises for other people. It's your life. You're the one living it. Make the decisions that future you will be proud of and become the person you truly want to be, because you're the one those decisions will affect the most. College is a perfect time to start making many decisions for yourself for the first time. Just consider why you're there, what genuinely matters to you, and how can you prioritize that. There are two concepts I've been thinking about in connection to the overall topic of time, as described by Tim Urban, the writer of the blog Wait But Why. You may know him from his TED Talk. It's the one about procrastination with the monkey. In 2014, Tim created a calendar of a 90-year human life in weeks. 1 box per week, 1 row per year. It's somewhat profound to be able to distill an entire life into a grid of boxes, a tangible representation of each week in your life, easily printable on a single sheet of paper. His takeaway is that each week can be used in one of 2 valuable ways: enjoying it in the moment, or making your future life or others' lives more enjoyable, whatever each of those may mean to you. Enjoyment at the expense of future enjoyment isn't great, and neither is working toward a future you can't see yourself enjoying. The worst of both worlds is to miss out on both of these positive outcomes, a nothing week that isn't enjoyable for you and doesn't result in positive change for yourself or others. We all have nothing weeks sometimes. It's okay. The life calendar can simply give us a new perspective, viewing our lives at a greater scope than we often are, buried in the day-to-day work of living. We can each ask ourselves the core question the life calendar poses: what am I doing with my weeks? What do I want to be doing with my weeks? And how can I move the 2 of those closer together? The other concept is that of the tail end. Rather than separating your life in weeks, consider measuring it by events. Not everything in your life is evenly distributed across days, and many of those distributions are likely to change in just a few months. Consider time spent with your family. You've probably seen your parents every day for the last 18 years, or nearly so, whereas that time will likely decrease dramatically as you go to college. You've likely already spent at least 80% of the time you will ever spend with your parents. The same applies to anything else important to you. Over the past 18 years of your life, the friends you've known here, the activities you've been involved in, or whatever it may be, you can take this as an opportunity to find new things that matter to you, or to prioritize spending time around the people who matter to you and continuing to involve yourself in activities you might otherwise find yourself in the tail end of. Either way, consider it and make a deliberate, conscious choice about what matters to you and how you want to use your limited, precious time. I'll leave you with this. To everyone here, think about your life. What holds meaning to you? It's never too late to move closer to that. To my fellow graduates, you have over 100 million seconds ahead of you in college. Use them wisely. Good luck. We will now hear from our 2021 student-selected speaker, Mason Beers. Mason will be attending Collegiate University in the fall. Please help me in welcoming Mason to the podium.
Good morning, parents, grandparents, guardians, siblings, fellow members of the class of 2021, and faculty. Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Mason Beers, and while I'm incredibly honored to be standing up here in front of you all today, The reason is not due to my academic merit, like Bryn or Kian, my artistic abilities, like Phoebe Moore, my championship performance, like Bryson Spell or Christian Moore, nor because I have been here for 13 years of my life, like Cameron Dodzik or Matt Gross. To put it simply, I am up here because I can usually win the argument of, what else can go wrong in 2020? I had cancer. For those that are unaware, I was diagnosed with ALK positive anaplastic large cell lymphoma, a rare type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the end of my sophomore year. I received the diagnosis in June, and for that summer and the 5 months that followed, I would travel down the road to CHKD and complete my rotation of spending 5 days and nights in the cancer ward receiving chemotherapy with 16 days of rest in between, for a total of 6 rounds. To be told at the age of 16 that, best case, your life would be put on hold, and worst, would not continue, was altogether confronting and terrifying. I hung up my Tommy Bahama chair and traded my days on the beach with friends. For days on the 8th floor, listening to the blaring alarms from my IV pump and the constant flow of medical staff in and out of my room. Those days were exhausting, filled to the brim with worry if the treatment was working and if I would even make it to this day, graduation. In August of 2019, while continuing the inpatient treatment phase, I was fortunate enough to re-enter the halls of Cape Henry for the first day of junior year. I was prepared to bear down alongside my classmates for the final push to demonstrate our talents to colleges and universities. On that first day, though, I wasn't thinking about the upcoming grind to make it to the finish line. The only thing on my mind was what my peers were going to think of the sick, bald kid roaming the halls, and if I was going to be treated any differently. However, at lunch that day, I knew I'd be okay when Wyatt Cake and Austin Asher came up to me, pointing at my bald head, laughing, saying, "That's hilarious, dude. I've always wanted to do that." In their defense, the knowledge of my cancer wasn't quite so widespread yet. And Austin, I know you still may feel bad about that, but I want to personally thank you for making me feel normal on my not so normal first day back. I never fancied myself a popular kid, and I've always just wanted to blend in. But when I would walk around the halls that fall of junior year, I would be challenged to see someone who wasn't sporting a green bracelet with my initials on it, and I couldn't help but feel good. While many of them were my friends, others were complete strangers who just rallied around me. Thank you, Cape Henry, those students and administrators, for showing your support, both seen and unseen. Thankfully, only a few short months after that first day back, Thanksgiving of our junior year, I received news that the cancer was gone and I could end my treatment. I was elated to join my class back in full capacity and start my journey to grow my luscious locks once more. I came back, and I came back strong, joining the soccer team just in time for playoffs, quickly rising through the ranks to be a starting midfielder and leading the boys to another state championship. Not only that, but in Mr. Rogers' physics class, I got each and every problem right on the midterm. Just kidding. At the start of the summer, the damn cancer came back. I was aghast. The back of my mouth was riddled with disease, and there was no stopping it. I began to lose teeth, and my retainer wouldn't fit, and I couldn't close my mouth as the tumors grew too big. That whole year, I'd been thinking about how much fun the summer would be, picking back up my beach chair, spending time with all my friends, and doing something other than sitting in CHKD. But that was once more taken away. I was petrified by the mere fact that the odds of beating cancer once are slim and the odds of beating it twice are much slimmer. Having gone through it all and thinking you finally climb the highest peak, just to start back at the beginning. But this time, square one so far back, you can't even see the mountain. To climb back to the summit, I needed a bone marrow transplant. While I was preparing for my new, much more daunting trek, I was able to start senior year and complete the first quarter in person. However, having no local options, I packed up my things and moved to Washington, D.C. to start my transplant at the beginning of the second quarter. BMT is basically a re-imaging of your body's immune hard drive. It's an intense process, and once you start, there isn't any tolerance for stopping. You're committed. Think of it like jumping off a medical cliff and hoping to grow a parachute before you land. Starts off with cranial radiation, then full body radiation, surgeries, spinal taps, CT scans, and high-dose chemo. All this hard work was to knock down my immune system so much that when I received my donor stem cells, shout out class of 2020 Dolphin and my incredible sister Riley Beers somewhere over there, they could, yeah, give it up for Riley. They could form my new immune system without my old one fighting back. Upon receiving my transplant, my life was merely a waiting game. It was a miserable 40 days I spent isolated in my positive pressure room, not able to leave. I got terrible mouth sores, so much so that I had to be put on a pain pump and dental suction. I couldn't talk for 10 days and had to be placed on a feeding tube for weeks. I spent my days looking inside, looking through the window at the outside world, hoping I'd be able to rejoin them someday. My IV pole was constantly laden with pumps, blood, and platelets, more medicine than I care to remember. This uncertainty window lasted until Riley's stem cells started producing within me, and ever so slowly, I started getting better. I was able to move out of the hospital and into a hotel where I lived for 2 more months in DC. It was an agonizing process, but luckily my parachute opened and I landed safely back in Virginia Beach, where I rejoined my classmates online in January and in person in February. I don't tell you all this because I want your pity or I want you to congratulate me for making it to this point. I tell you this because of the actions of the incredible group of people sitting in front of me today who allow me to stand up here and say I had a pretty stellar high school experience. Needless to say, when I was in treatment, I felt scared and alone. But fears could be partially calmed when I would open up my phone on multiple occasions and see a text from A.J. Rosenblum asking me what I wanted from Bobo's or Chick-fil-A. Or the times that Cole and the Downs family brought us dinner and offered up their backyard and barber skills to give me a nice shave for the first time. Or when all of you sent me cards that lined my solitary window ledge in the hospital. And before my transplant even began, I felt the support of my classmates when I received an email from Carter Atherton, who compiled videos from many members of the class of 2020 and members of the class of 2021, including, but not limited to, Charlotte Walsh, Leah Bohannon, and Izzy Schleifer, and faculty, including, and again not limited to, Miss Hummel, Mr. McGraw, Senor Willis, and Miss Moore. These are the moments that got me through the fall. When I finally re-entered the halls of CHC, I still had strict protocols as my immune system wasn't strong enough to handle a common cold, let alone a worldwide pandemic. In my heightened immunocompromised state, I had to eat lunch alone. Another special thank you to Mr. A for letting me use his office as my own personal cafe dolphin. Eating alone wouldn't last long, however, as Julia Nasso and Wiley Levine came only a few days into my new normal to simply sit with me and gave me company while I ate. They have joined me every day since, later with the addition of Ben Scott, and I'm honored to call these people some of my best friends. The humanity they exemplify through their friendship is hard to convey. It came at a much needed time for me and illuminated an area of isolation I had felt since the fall. Their actions are representative of the highest ideals of the dolphin spirit, and something that will live on within me more than they know. These random acts by members of the senior class far surpass the 12:15 lunch. After missing so much school and so many assignments, I often found myself struggling to catch up with my classmates. Without the help of Ashby Reynolds and Mason Ehrenzeller hopping on FaceTime and helping me, I probably would have failed a couple classes and would still be thinking that in Wuthering Heights, Kathy was literally Heathcliff. Miraculously, and I think my doctors in DC are still wringing their hands at this, I was able to rejoin the lacrosse team. Cancer or not, I'm not a lacrosse prodigy. To be frank, my starting position's left bench. But when I was finally allowed to suit up and rejoin the lacrosse team, it was one of the best days I've had this year. Thanks to Coach Thompson for giving me the opportunity to go out and play with Jeriel Adejobi, Mason Dudley, William Dickey, and many more of my friends. Despite all the slow healing bruises from my low platelet count, I truly can't give enough thanks for my team for treating the cancer kid like anyone else and making me earn it every day. And to the teachers, thank you for all that you have done for me and the students in front of me. For the past year and a half, you have taught in some of the most challenging times that any of us have seen. And you've kept it fun, engaging, and inspiring. Your love for teaching inspired a love for learning in your students that we can carry with us throughout our lives. And what's more, you taught us some pretty valuable life lessons along the way. It was in Mr. Fluharty's class, International Relations class, where I learned that even if Israel and Palestine will never work out their differences, if we all ask enough times, the quiz might actually get moved. Persistence is key. And in Ms. Cabrera's class, we learned where we can use our skills for writing an argumentative essay in the real world to convince the teacher to take the class out to the Foursquare courts, where, truthfully, not much literature occurred, but memories were made. These administrators and staff spent countless unsung hours before and after school on my behalf, and I'll forever be in your debt. Every single class I took at Cape Henry reinforced one lesson for me. Be passionate about what you do, so you can try and do it as well as the folks that walk in those doors at 7:45 every morning. Finally, I'm told there's supposed to be some wisdom in this, that there's a reason for my and our collective journeys. I'm not sure I'm qualified to give advice at the age of 18, but here are some thoughts from a fortunate, normal kid who went to Cape Henry, who had some bad days, and confronted the realities of life a little sooner than most. Remember to foster resilience. The experience you gain through COVID disruptions and your personal journey through high school will serve you well. Sometimes the news tomorrow isn't so good, but remember that it is most likely transient. Hope prevails. When you hit the inevitable detours in your journey, fight mightily. But remember, when life doesn't go as planned, these offshoots may teach you more than the path you thought you were supposed to be on. Continue being the great group of kind, driven, passionate people you are, as your legacy will not solely be measured by your accomplishments, but by the impacts you had on others. As Dr. Samuel Dubois Cook said, have a vision of excellence, dream of success, and work like hell. Class of 2021, thank you for going on this incredible journey with me, and I wish you Godspeed in your endeavors. May you all have a team supporting you like I did here at Cape Henry. Thank you. Thank you. We will now hear from our second choral selection, chosen especially for graduation. The senior vocal trio will sing Total Praise, which includes lyrics which seem so fitting for the graduates seated before you. After this performance, Dr. Guerin will present Bryn Earl with the Valedictorian Medal, and then we will hear her remarks. Bryn will be attending the University of Virginia in the fall.
Lord, I will lift mine eyes to the hills, knowing my help is coming from you. Your peace you give me in time of the storm. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. Lord, You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. Amen. 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 You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. Amen. 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 Amen.
Our valedictorian, Bryn Earl.
Good morning. Dr. Guerin, members of the board, family, friends, faculty, community members watching from home, Mom and Dad, and Owen Mather, thank you for being here today. This year has not been easy. We faced challenges and obstacles that 2 years ago we couldn't have even imagined. This year was not only difficult for me and for our class, but for every member of our community, our country, and our world. We were separated from our families, isolated from our community, and millions of human lives across the globe were lost. But this year was also one in which we learned so much. Our generation, Gen Z, or Zoomers as we're colloquially known, has not only overcome the difficult changes during what some might say are the best years of our lives, but we have faced our entire lives the challenges of globalization and growing interconnectedness and growing polarization of the world. Some say that each generation has a defining moment. For classes before us, it was 9/11. For our parents and grandparents, it was the JFK assassination or the moon landing. But for us it's been our entire lives. Technology and globalization define our generation. We have fought to create balance between this interdependence and our own definitions of ourselves. It is this balance that is so important. As best said by Malcolm Gladwell, a lot of what is most beautiful about the world arises from struggle. This year's uncertainty has inspired hope in me for our class, our generation, and our future. A future that requires all of us. Artists, athletes, engineers, mathematicians, writers, researchers, each and every one of us. We, together, can bring the world into balance. I've thought of this day, the elusive graduation, for so many years now. It's incredible that this moment is finally here. Being the valedictorian of the class of 2021 is an amazing honor, but I couldn't have done it without all of you here today. I'll be honest, I was terrified and intimidated. Truthfully, I find it funny that after working so hard for an honor like this, I'm rewarded with yet another homework assignment. This one graded by all of you today. I watch speakers at past graduations to get inspiration. I watched Mr. Rogers give the class of 2016 one final physics lesson. Mr. A asked for 2 claps, far too many times in 2019, and Mr. McGraw explained life through baseball at last year's graduation. I was even tempted to Google how to write a good valedictorian speech. Mason Beers even asked Ms. Cabreros one day in English class what he should say in his speech. She replied, "Tell them what they want to hear, reminisce about your classmates, and don't give advice." When it set in that I too now needed to write a speech, I recalled her suggestions. But how could I write a speech about what others wanted me to say? How, with so many wonderfully different people in our grade, could I say what each one of you wants to hear? I thought about the 83 members of the class of 2021. Which memories tell our story? What has guided us here today? I know I'm supposed to stand up here and say something inspiring, but the truth is I've been inspired by all of you. My friends, classmates, teachers, and mentors, you all are truly inspiring. Beyond academics, I have learned something from each and every one of you. From Phoebe Moore, a talented artist, musician, and friend who has helped me survive high school, I was pushed to be the best student and human I could be. From Toriori, who made it possible to watch CHC sporting events from home and has always led with a smile on her face, I learned to live life with humor and humility. From Jakai Shang, who joined our community thousands of miles from his own family, and who fought for gender equity through his club, I learned to be an activist and to be brave. And from Gianni, who has mastered the art of sleeping in class and turning in papers late, I discovered that sometimes procrastination really does pay off. And from my brother, Zach Earl, who has become a mentor to younger kids, I learned to lead with kindness each and every day. I would love to take a moment to applaud each member of the class of 2021 who's made today and our future possible. School, despite common belief, and I'll admit, once my own, has not and cannot be just about academics. Arts and sports are just as valuable as doing well in math class. Mornings in the library, afternoons in the cafeteria, and nights cheering on CHC from the sidelines have taught me as much about this world as what I've learned in a classroom, if not more. Cape Henry, and formal education as a whole, I've found, is not just about academics or social life. There is no one choice. Thankfully, the world is not black and white. It's filled with a million colors, a million choices. An equilibrium between academics, athletics, and community that comes together to teach us more about the world and ourselves each day. One of my favorite habits of teachers is when they try to sneak little life lessons into class time. I will never forget Mr. Rogers and Mrs. Cabreros reminded me the importance of driving the speed limit. Mr. Rogers explained how doubling your speed quadruples your braking distance. And Mrs. Cabreros reminded me that nothing is worth speeding for. You see, that's what's incredible about CHC and the world. In both a STEM class and an English class, I learned the importance of slowing down. Sometimes school really can surprise you. And on that note, I owe a particular faculty member, or maybe rather a department as a whole, an apology. To Miss Self and the entire English department, I'm sorry. You see, I would walk into Miss Self's class every single day, proclaiming I was a math and science student and a math and science student only. I remember one day in particular, she looked at me and Aiden Winfield and sighed, "English is life." And Miss Self, you were right. There is, to my great surprise, more to school and to life than math and science classes. More often than not, the faculty here at Cape Henry can see what we cannot see in ourselves. Teaching, encouraging, and believing in us, your dedication to knowledge, and forming a foundation for our future is truly inspiring. What I've taken away from these last 4 years is the importance of balance and perspective. As a species, we know about 1% of the knowable knowledge in the universe, and as individuals, less than 1% of that 1%. Which means, class of 2021, we have so much to discover. This is our graduation, our commencement, our beginning. While this marks the end of our high school careers, it also represents the dawn of the rest of our lives. Years from now, our time in high school will be a collection of fleeting memories, but our time at Cape Henry will forever shape who we are. All of us have the power to go out and change the world, and it will take all of us to create that change. However, it is just as important to recognize that the responsibility of the world is not on your shoulders alone. We're in this together. It is important, as Mr. Rogers and Mrs. Cabreros have taught me, to take a minute and slow down, to enjoy the moment that's at hand. As I conclude, I would like to quote Bruce Barton. "Sometimes when I consider what tremendous consequences come from little things, I'm tempted to think there are no little things. Each moment here has shaped who we are, and each action you take from here will have a ripple effect on your future and the future of others. Through being spontaneous and compassionate and seeing the extraordinary in each ordinary day, we will create splashes and waves. However, each of you, through actions big and small, have already inspired my world. Class of 2021, the future is ours. Every action you take can either benefit or hinder the progress of the world, and I implore each and every one of you to go out and make change. Whether that's change in your personal life or larger global change, your voice and your life matter. Far too often, we are spectators to our own lives, but all of us here today, future activists, artists, engineers, teachers, we all have one thing in common. We are destined to change the world. To every young woman here today, fight for your rights to autonomy. Fight for the value of your mind. Fight for your place. I am here today as the third woman in a row to earn the title of Valedictorian. To every young woman here, be loud and be proud and know your voice matters. We will change the world. And to every person here today, fight for what you believe in, stand up to those that doubt you, find perspective with those you disagree with, find balance, and learn from every moment of your life. I'd love to leave you with one final question. How will you change the world today? Thank you. We will now hear from our student-selected faculty speaker, Mr. Brian Facemeyer, alumnus of Cape Henry, class of 1998.
Good morning. All of you have been welcomed about 6 times at this point, so I'll just get to it. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I am so humbled to be able to speak to this group of young people today. I'm humbled by those who have stood in this position before me, the likes of Jim Curbin, Tom Rogers, Greg Angley, Scott McGraw, all of whom are incredible colleagues, friends, and educators from whom I continue to learn each day. I'm greatly humbled. As soon as I learned of this opportunity, I started writing it in my head. And what that means for me is thinking of the perfect way to phrase something and running around my house frantically, trying to look for a pencil to write it down, and then it's gone, and here we are. So what you're going to hear from me today is very much like that, like humanity and like life itself, imperfect, perhaps even flawed. A long series of imperfect, random events have led all of us here. I speak to you today from a unique perspective. You see, I'm an alum, a teacher, and the father of a first grader. I sat in the very seats you've been sitting in for the last 4 years. I sat in the seats you're sitting in now. Only so much has changed. I know much of what your experience has been. I know the struggles. I understand why you all have incredible relationships with the adults in your lives. I know the little rebellions, and I know where they come from. In short, I was you not that long ago. And soon, we will share that alumni status, and that makes me very proud to be here. So with all that in mind, let me try to impart some philosophical advice. Alex Honnold, widely considered to be the greatest rock climber of his generation, and perhaps ever, stated, "Nobody achieves anything great being happy and cozy. Nobody achieves anything great being happy and cozy." Happy's fine. It's the cozy part that worries me. You see, Alex lives his life pushing the edge further out. He, to date, is the only human to ever free solo the greatest granite big wall on planet Earth, El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. Free soloing, for those of you living under a rock for the past few years rather than climbing it, is the activity whereby a climber takes on the challenge of climbing a massive slab of rock, sometimes granite, sometimes sandstone, sometimes something else, depending on where you are in the world. But they're doing it without the security of ropes. For some perspective, El Capitan is roughly 1,100 meters above the Yosemite Valley floor. That's the approximate equivalent of 80 school buses stacked end to end. Now, I'm not suggesting we all need to go out and free solo. Most of us would most certainly die. But we do all need more experiences that make us feel the euphoria that our human souls crave. That feeling that is present on Alex Honnold's face and in his eyes when he tops out, as they say in the climbing community, when a climber pulls himself over the ledge at the top. We need to be more comfortable being uncomfortable. It's out on that edge where you experience what life is meant to feel like. Whatever or wherever your edge is, I urge you to go out into the world and find it and push it and learn what the air tastes like out there. It's different out on that edge. It feels different, and that's because your soul has been set on fire with the passion for whatever it is. We need to be more comfortable being uncomfortable. Doors are going to open, doors are going to close, but those are not the only options. If you walk through a door and the experience there doesn't light up your soul with passion, then go back out and try a different door. These doors are not permanently locked, but you do need keys for some of them. Don't be afraid to take chances and risks to make the life you want for yourself, not the life somebody else wants for you. Take a chance on a class you never thought you'd take. Take a chance on a relationship. Take a chance on an internship or a study abroad program. That and your education is how you get the keys to those doors. All right, I'm going to switch gears now from that modern philosopher, Alex Honnold, if we can call him that, to the ancient philosophical school of Stoicism. Stay with me, I promise. It's all right. The Stoics included the likes of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, among many others. Those are the famous ones. And they framed their philosophy along three disciplines. One, the discipline of perception. By controlling our perceptions, we find clarity in what we do. Two, the discipline of action. By controlling our actions, we find effectiveness in our daily activities. Three, the discipline of will. By controlling our will, we find wisdom to deal with what the world throws at us. And guess what, kids? The world's going to throw stuff at you. The growth of these disciplines allow for humanity to find three things: resilience, purpose, and joy. Three things seemingly missing from too many people's lives, but not yours, not you. On the discipline of perception, number one, my old friend Charlie Lonergan, many people here will remember him, used to always say, perception is reality. People are going to think what they want. Let them. You can't control someone else's perception of you. It's a losing game. Let them lose. Let them lose themselves in their own fantasy of what they want you to be. A rebel, an angel, a romantic, an athlete, a child, an adult, a peacemaker, an achiever, reformer, an individualist. Perhaps you're one of these things, or several of these things, or maybe you're none of these things. Maybe you're something else entirely. It's for you to know and for you to use to become who and what you truly are in the deep recesses of your soul that are only just now starting to emerge. This is your commencement, a new beginning. On the discipline of action, number two, Choices you make every single day can change the trajectory of your life forever. Will you choose to stay the same, or will you dare to see what's possible? I suggest that you dare to see what's possible. I read a school motto recently that seemed apropos. There is more in you. Or what does that mean, there is more in you? It means that you are capable more than perhaps you even realize. So then the question becomes, how do I find out? That's the trick. It's a trick, but it's not a secret. That's the trick. You have to dare to see what's possible. Only you can find the answers. And they exist out there on that edge I spoke of earlier, that edge that fires your passions. I'll leave you with some simple words on the discipline of will. Number 3, that even the slow erosion of time has not been able to erase. You may well be asking yourselves, what exactly has been the point of all this education, all of these teachings over the last 4 years or longer? If you aren't asking yourself that, you will, as your mind grows more critical of the world around you. When you ask those questions, I ask that you recall the following, which I offer as an answer. This is from Epictetus' Discourses, and in applying this wisdom, you may indeed find your passions. What is the fruit of these teachings? Well, the fruit of these teachings is only the most proper and beautiful harvest of the truly educated, which means tranquility, fearlessness, and freedom. We should not trust the masses who say only the free can be educated. Rather, we should trust the lovers of wisdom who say that only the educated are truly free. Now go and fall in love with your education and your passions and your perspectives, and don't be afraid to change them all when you need to. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to now invite Dr. Guerin and Mr. Tom Atherton to the podium for the awarding of the diplomas.
Thank you, Mr. Facemeyer. Class of 2021, I believe this is what you've been waiting for. The awarding of your diplomas. Just a little bit of instruction for all of you, since we're in a different venue than in previous years. Mr. Horgan's going to ask your row to stand, and you'll begin walking toward the stage. You'll approach the stage from your right side, my left, right there. Mr. Horgan's going to call your name. We want every student to have their moment on stage, and so when he calls your name, you will cross the stage. Mr. Atherton, chairman of our board, will present you with your diploma. You will then exit the stage and join me by the compass rose, where your official photo will be taken, before then returning to your seat. I have the honor of presenting the Cape Henry Collegiate class of 2021. The diploma that they receive signifies that they have met the prescribed course of study and have been examined by this faculty. On behalf of the faculty of Cape Henry Collegiate, I recommend them for graduation.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the recommendation of Head of School on behalf of and with the authority of the Board of Trustees operating under the statutes of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I hereby declare that this senior class, individually and collectively, are graduates of Cape Henry Collegiate, June 6, 2021.
Would the front row please rise and begin making their way to the podium? Jeriel S. Adejobi. Burke Alptekin. Judith Nicole Apotheker. Austin Thomas Asher. Jordan Danielle Bannister. Carly Renee Bartell. Ella Tristine Barton. Paris Skylar Beal. Mason Hamilton Beers. Isabella Christina Beggs. Gianni Matteo Bezzara Sheon. Leah Faith Bohannon. Tyler Clover Boyle. Anna Claire Buba. Unable to join us on the stage today, Yusha Chen. Also not able to join us on the stage today, Huran Cheng. Connor Gwaltney Clay. Nicholas Alexander Demuth. James William Dickey II. Cameron Lee Dodzik. Cole Edward Downs. Mason Trent Dudley. David Zachary Earl. Elizabeth Bryn Earl. Christopher Mason Ehrenzeller. Not able to join us on the stage today, Peifang Fan. Caroline Pierce Fluharty. Julia Aquina Nasso. Aiden William Graham. Matthew David Gross. Hannah Louise Gunn. Carson Christopher Harrell. Kristen Marie Havel. Zachary Michael Healy. Nicole Kathleen Hill. Liam Twan Jansen. Allison Betts Jared. Christopher James Jaycox. Not able to join us on the stage today, Lijian Jin. Alexandra Nicole Johnston. Bryce Benjamin Jones. Faith Amanda Jones. Max Arlen Lambert. Not able to join us on stage today, Sishuang Lee. Wiley Chase Levine. Jasmine Zarema Lozano. Not able to join us on the stage today, Yifan Liu. Parker Scott Mann. Jillian Torrey McCollum. Dylan Malley Magruder. Tyler Gray Midget. Christian Ahmad Moore. Phoebe Isabel Moore. Kian Richard Moretz. Chloe L. Mugler. Rebecca Grace Oliveri. Victoria Arrington Ori. Rebecca Ashby Reynolds. Aiden James Rosenblum. Isabel Mimi Schleifer. Paige Schneider. Benjamin Peter Scott. Carson Thomas Shade. Unable to join us on the stage today, Zakai Sheng. John Butler Simpkins. Emily Rachel Scraw. Peyton Elizabeth Sneed. Bryson Thomas Spell. Kyle Hamilton Stewart. Finley Ann Stoops. Not able to join us on the stage today, ZK Sun. Cassie Marie Thompson. Mats Marhin Veenstra. Elise Reagan Verfurth. Charlotte Edith Walsh. Carter Scott Ward. Runs Way. Alexia Nicole Wentz. Aiden Miles Winfield. Unable to join us on the stage today, Siwan Wu. Not able to join us on the stage today, Dingkai Shu. Olivia May Zetterval. Finally, not able to join us on the stage today, Jingyu Zhang. Congratulations to the class of 2021. Want me to introduce you or just want to come on?
Thanks, so. Come on, let's hear it for these graduates. So just a couple quick closing remarks, if I may, before you head off for Sunday brunch and celebrations today. As you leave, on the other side of the turf field, you'll notice a dolphin. And that dolphin is dedicated to the class of 2021. It's been painted with 21 on it, and all of your initials are on that dolphin on the underside. And that dolphin will remain on our campus to celebrate this special class that had to go through a very challenging year. I'd like to thank AJ's family, who worked through Operation Smile in order to provide that dolphin to Cape Henry, and also a special shout out to alum Mason Dodzik, who painted it for the class. Thank you, Mason. So on your way out, if you want, stop and take a picture with the dolphin. It's your dolphin. If I could also, for just a moment, I'd like to recognize someone. You know, these ceremonies don't just happen on their own. And then you have, like, a head of school who has a crazy idea about, well, maybe we'll get a tent, and we'll put it on the field, and that's how we'll do it. And that's easy for the head of school, because I just give him the idea, and then people have to make it happen. This commencement ceremony, and many of the other ceremonies that happened this week, would never happen if it wasn't for Miss Kim Johnson. Thank you, Kim. Come on up here. She's probably upset with me right now, but come on up here. So as you're departing today, the way this is going to work is that our graduates are going to exit the tent first, going through these side doors here. Then they're going to go out to the turf, and then families, you may also exit out of these. The ushers will help you to exit out of these side doors, and you may join your graduate on the turf field. As we do that, I'd also like to thank our sax quartet, who is here today helping to celebrate. They are going to play some great Sunday morning jazz on our way out. So again, congratulations to the class of 2021. Have an incredible day, an incredible year, and come back and visit.